Hey everybody, it's Joe from Papa Joe Bows, and today we're going to talk about censorship. Big bad censorship. Conservative, that show tonight, latest victim of big tech censorship. TikTok erases sketch show's channel without explanation. Sound familiar? Yes, it sounds very familiar. It's something that's happened to hundreds of conservatives, and it's bizarre. Simply for saying things that aren't even offensive, that don't have anything to do with harming other people. And guess what? Some of it does. Do I support that personally? Some of it is funny, and some of it I do actually, because it needs to be said. You need to be allowed in a free society to do one thing first above everything else, and that's speak. The article goes on, comedy shouldn't be this hard in 2022. We just watched one of stand-up's biggest stars get slapped for telling the wrong joke during the 94th Oscar Gala. That's on top of the woke Gestapo deciding how and why we can laugh. Just ask Dave Chappelle. And Dave Chappelle is someone who I don't necessarily agree with politically, but I like that he kind of roasts everybody and that he didn't bow down to the woke mob. It was really weird, though, because Dave Chappelle is actually pretty far left, and the woke were trying to eat him. You have this thing where the woke, if you don't say the exact same thing that they're saying, they'll come and eat you. And what is this woke mob? It's a bunch of Twitter users most of the time who, honestly, a lot of them have, not ripping on them here, I'm being honest, have some sort of mental illness. And if everything doesn't go their way, they're going to come try to cancel you, which is insane. Because like I've said before, if you're going to cancel one person, you have to cancel everybody, because everybody's screwed up in life. Everybody. It's part of life. Big tech similarly threatens anyone who tells jokes outside the approved topic list. Comedians like Ryan Long and Tyler Fisher found this out the hard way. The same is true for the Babylon Bee, which faces the double threat of fabulous fact checks along with big tech censorship. So Ryan Long isn't even really conservative. He's just a guy who points out absurdity, a lot like Ricky Gervais. And he's funny. That show tonight is relatively new to the scene, but it swiftly joined the ranks of censorship victims. Why? Telling jokes about the current administration isn't approved by the powers that be, according to the fledgling troupe. I've never seen this show. I've never heard of this show, but there's a lot of shows out there I haven't seen and heard, and I'm not trying to censor any of them, including leftist stuff. You need to put it all out there. You need to allow everyone to have their voice. And if you want to actually resolve things, you talk about it. Genuinely talk about it. Not just call each other names. It doesn't work well. Ricky Gervais said it best. Just because you are offended doesn't make you right. And I'm going to go further on that. It doesn't give you the right to cancel people and censor them. That's insane. The series, spearheaded by comedian Michael Loftus, offers right-leaning satire for those exhausted by mainstream comedy's hard-left agenda. And there is one, and it's big, and it's ridiculous, and I don't watch TV anymore. It's one of the other things I kind of boycott. The showcase features stars like Jim Breuer and guitar slinger Brian Hanner cracking wise about President Joe Biden, COVID-19 mandates, and more. I didn't know Jim Breuer was in there. I'd never heard of it before. I love Jim Breuer, man. That guy's hilarious. The show's TikTok account, launched in September, had more than 15K followers as of a few days ago. That show tonight clips generated hundreds of thousands of views, according to the show, including one video that boasted more than 400K views. TikTok pulled down one video from the account, Coma Man, but quickly restored it following an appeal. That was the only sign of trouble from the Chinese platform. No warnings, no clues that the channel ran afoul of TikTok culture, nor did the comedy troupe post anything adult in nature, be it upsetting visuals or coarse language. There's so much in that right there I want to talk about. The first thing, this is a Chinese-owned company censoring you. You have American companies censoring you worse than Chinese companies. And people say cultural Marxism isn't real. Bull. Pull your heads out. Get red-pilled. Yes, it is. It's right there in front of you. Every day. Just because someone says something you are offended by doesn't mean you get to cancel them. I get offended by stuff all the time. I don't say, tear it down. It hurts me. It's got to be gone. No. You let people have their freedom of speech, and if you want to say something back to it, you do. That's how it works. I have videos on why they're doing this stuff. You should get into it. You should read about Gramsci-style communism. You need to. You need to get red-pilled and educated. None of the above stopped TikTok from removing that Shows Tonight account, presumably for good. It isn't the only big tech interference the group has endured. A representative of the troupe says YouTube and Facebook routinely block attempts to boost content parodying the Biden administration or the left in general. That's insane. I don't even know what to say to that. Yeah, I do. It's insane. Right-leaning comedians can't promote their work through their typical channels. Late night shows won't let them grace their couches. If you are so chicken, if you are so cowardly that you can't allow another person with a different view to come talk to you in any form, you have some serious problems and some things to think about. You're going to have your feelings hurt in life. It's going to happen. You don't go try to ruin a person for that. There are some things like grooming children that you probably should ruin people over. Not probably. I'm going to go on a limb there and say, yeah, if you're a child groomer, you can go be buried under a prison. Publications such as Variety and The Hollywood Reporter rarely give them precious space on their sites. Social media can be the great equalizer, letting rebellious talent thrive without corporate filters. Digital stars like Tim Dillon, Tom McDonald, Buddy Brown, and Chrissy Mayer have done just that. And there's also, JP Awakens. He's hilarious. There's the Babylon Bee, like they mentioned before. There's people like Steven Crowder. He's funny. Dave Landau, one of the funniest comedians of all time. It's sad to see what's happening out here. That's increasingly not the case, though, and it's not funny for comedians trying to survive in a biased media landscape. How did we get here? How did we get to a point where free speech isn't allowed for all in America? You have to ask yourself that. You need to start digging deeper, and you need to look into why people are silencing groups that they've labeled as dangerous because they don't agree with other groups that have been labeled as victim status. It's something that has been talked about in depth by people who are far smarter than I am, but I've just read their stuff, and it's astounding, and it's amazing, and you need to go out there and research it. I can't stand that this is happening. As long as I have a voice, I'll speak out against it. It's absolutely disgusting to see people being silenced and censored. I'm going to start streaming soon, and I'm going to start doing podcasts, and there's certain things in chat that I would get rid of. First would be if you spam something 100 times. A few times I honestly wouldn't care. But if you're taking over the chat from everyone else, yeah, that makes a little bit of sense. The other one is porn. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I don't want any of it around anything I do. You could talk about it with words. I wouldn't care about that. But your clips, no, because other people are getting harmed in those clips. I don't like that. But beyond that, you can talk about whatever you want. And then there are free speech absolutionists who say that stuff needs to be allowed. And that's a conversation to have. A lot of people who think that say just put age restrictions on it and go with that. The problem is that kids are going to see that. And yes, kids can be harmed by that stuff, period. I mean, think back to when you were a kid and the stuff you used to see that, used to harm you. And yeah, it can influence you. It can harm you. It can do some bad things. But that's a conversation I'm actually really interested in having because I'd like to hear other people's views on it. Tell me what you think in the comments. This stuff has to stop. Start your own channels, start your own voice, use these platforms as much as you can to get the message out as long as they're going to let us. I'm Joe from Papa Jobo's. Peace.